Welcome, everybody. I'm so happy to have you here today. It's a pleasure to be able to see each and every one of your lovely faces on this solstice. We're here to celebrate another year of seeds and listen to some of the people that we met in Guatemala, some of our esteemed seeds alumni, what they're doing, how they're being in the world. Seeds is not just a cryptocurrency that's earth friendly, the new currency for the new earth economics, but it also is a movement. And that movement is important. It started back in the Rights to Earth movement in New Zealand. And that was in 2016, 2017. Some of those same people are still active there in New Zealand, pushing the Rights to Earth movement, but the impetus and inspiration for Seeds came from there. Um, Also, wanted to say a little bit about this movie you just saw. It's from a song from Sasha Siem's latest album called Earth. And we helped her with that, and Analos and our whole group helped design that song. And then Kinship Earth and our nonprofit were able to fund the production of that video. So we are happy to share that with you. Um, we're also going to be hearing from some of the people that we met for the first time in Guatemala. And that was such a wonderful event there. Beautiful setting in Lake Atitlan, high up in the mountains with five volcanoes around the lake. The energy was tremendous. The views were fantastic. And the people were just enormously gratifying to meet and work with. So thank you all for being here today. And now I'm going to pass this on to Yoram Weiss. Yoram is a longtime friend of mine. He is a tremendous poet and metaphysician. He's led a nomadic life all over the world, originally from Israel, and has a particularly strong insight into how we are as human beings, our spiritual journey that we make together, why we're here. And he speaks eloquently about that. And I've asked him to do a meditation this morning and to do an invocation as we start this meeting today. So I'm going to pass this on to you, Yoram, and take it from here.
Thank you, Steve. Hi, everybody. First, I would like to just say how much I appreciate talking to so many people who are conscious and connected to the light of their souls in this time is particularly special. And before starting the meditation, I would like to say something about the kind of critical value of being in higher consciousness, to engaging and embodying the higher consciousness, because we live in the times or in the time of the ancient prophecies. And the next 8 years are going to be some of the most transformational years that we have witnessed in recent human history. We all know that. We all feel it intuitively. We feel it. We also observe the world, and we know that we live in that kind of time. And if you look at where we stand with it, you can see the gravity of the human history and, and all the agendas and all the darkness and all the density that has dictated trajectory of evolution now for millennia. And the chaos that we witness and the pain and the grief and the scarcity and it's kind of almost like depressing in a way. But then you look at deeper than that, you look further than that, and you see another trajectory, another stream of evolution, and that's the stream of the light of the divine, or however you want to call it, from the infinite field of consciousness, of pure intelligence, pure power, pure love, from which 13.8 billion years ago, this whole universe emerged. And here we are on one planet amongst 2 trillion galaxies. Each contains, on average, 400 billion stars. And we are just one star system, somewhere in the Milky Way. One planet, 4 billion years old, in which we evolved through so many biological stages to reach the stage we are now, right now, here on Earth. And there are those two trajectories, the gravity of our history, the density of the mind, and the trajectory of the divine, of the light, of the love, of the pure intelligence. And in between those two, we are the one that have to pick a choice. We have free will. In our very nature of who we are and how we emerge as souls from this infinite field of consciousness, we have the freedom of choice. The power of that choice is what's going to dictate our destiny. And so it's extremely important, I feel, and such an incredible opportunity for those of us who can see it to rise to that higher consciousness, to reconnect with our true nature and co-create a destiny that converts the scarcity into abundance, the pain into love, the chaos into coherence, the hatred into compassion, into kindness, into generosity, that will shape a world the way we can envision it, deep, deep in our soul, deep, deep in our heart, envision it as a kinder, more beautiful, wiser, more generous, more inclusive, more embracive world. So I wanted to do the meditation specifically about that. So I invite you now to join me on the meditation. You can close your eyes and I'll guide you through it and see where we end up. It's always so beautiful. So close your eyes and allow all your attention to gather into the rhythm of your breath. Don't force your breath, just allow yourself to completely let go to your breath. And the more you let go to it, the more you feel there is that rhythm behind the inhaling and exhaling that is so gentle, so sweet, and so loving. And the more you let go, more you release yourself into that rhythm, the more you feel there is like an energy that pulls you deeper within, like a call of love, an invitation to sink and descend deeper and deeper into the realms of your heart. Let go to it, release your density. Feel how you become softer and gentler, and your entire being becomes more and more transparent. And all around you, there is like a bubble of love, this beautiful atmosphere, lucid atmosphere of love, of beauty, so intimate and so familiar. It's your home. It's the presence of the divine within you. It's your soul, your true self. Let go to it and completely melt into it like a lover in the embrace of love. Feel one with it. Feel how when you become one with it, it makes you more transparent, lighter, and buoyant. You lose your gravity. You start ascending and expanding, expanding and expanding, transforming into a translucent space, into a translucent being. And all around you, there is this beautiful atmosphere of love, this infinite field of infinite consciousness, pure love, pure wisdom, pure coherence. And the more you let go to it, the more you give yourself to it, the higher you rise and more expansive you become until you become completely one with that field. And that field pulls you further higher and higher within your own consciousness, within your own realms of your soul, rising like this tower of grace, this tower of love, higher and higher in the field, all the way to the source, where you can feel in the presence of infinite consciousness, infinite timeless love, full of meaning. There's such a sense of purpose, such a sense of synergy, of coherence. Everything is connected. Everything is meaningful. Insights, wisdom, clarity, and infinite love and compassion. Notice how loved you are in that realm, how recognized and how embraced you are by the entire field of consciousness, by the divine itself, from which you and I have originated as souls, as unit of consciousness, emerge from that infinite field, just like this entire universe emerged, triggered as a wave of light, the light of our soul, a wave of consciousness into this world, into this time, where we anchored our consciousness, our soul, into a human body. From that place of being at the threshold of the divine, one with the field of consciousness, look at the planet in which we live, that beautiful blue planet, one of zillions and zillions of planets in this universe, which our soul has chosen to anchor itself in and to go and take upon itself this beautiful human journey of learning, of discovering, and pioneering and innovating new consciousness, new possibilities, new earth, new way of living, new way of expressing the divine agenda of light, the divine nature of infinite love on this planet, ushering a new age, a new time, a new possibility. Look down at that beings, at your body, your personal field of energy, walking upon this earth. This is who you adapted. Your soul, your higher self, adapted that being, that personality, that body that you are as your adopted child, a child of love, a child of purpose, an instrument, a vessel of light. That your soul, connected to the divine, connected to the infinite field of consciousness, continues to stream wisdom, stream clarity, stream compassion and empathy, stream consciousness of generosity, of kindness, of wisdom into this body, driving your purpose on earth, being a pioneer, being on a journey of pushing the horizons of possibilities, pushing the horizons of innovation, enabling us to nurture the earth instead of depleting its resources, nurturing it with love, with wisdom, enabling a completely new reality. That's our purpose. That's who we are. And now, allow your consciousness, your entire awareness to go back to your breath, feel the rhythm, feel the room around you, and slowly open your eyes. Such a beautiful time that we live in. Intense, challenging, yes. Infinite possibilities, infinite opportunities. And we have offered ourselves, committed ourselves to be those instrument of love, instrument of light, work with the earth, work with the evolution of our Mother Earth and the divine to bring and usher a completely new age. So thank you very much, and I'll pass it back to you, Steve.
Okay, Yoram, thank you so much. That was really beautiful, stellar, and from the heart, as you always do. I really appreciate your gifts and that you're sharing with us today. Now we're moving on to the main program. And as I said, the Seeds movement is made up of a lot of different people who have shared their time and their energy with us now for since 2016, 2017. This is a lifetime commitment that we're trying to build a new form of earth-friendly cryptocurrency to enable new earth economics to emerge and the renaissance of regeneration. So one of the people that I was very happy to introduce to Seeds is Sid Griffith. Sid is someone that I noticed right away was a self-starter. She took Seeds and created something called permatours. And I can't even keep up with all the centers of seeds that she pollinated across the entire northeastern United States. She was like the Joanna Appleseed. She was able to uh, plant these seeds all over the Northeast. And I was so impressed with what she's done, and she's still doing it. Permatours is still going. And we intend as we develop the the future of seeds to entwine ourselves with that group as well. And we are at a stage where we are looking very carefully at a new Seeds 3.0. You're going to hear about it today. You're going to hear from two people who are working very steadily on that. Um, and that is Bart Albertsy in Amsterdam and Douglas Butner in Lake Atitlan. Anyway, Sid is going to talk to us today about what she has done. And I was so impressed with her that we made an offer to uh, ask her if she'd be willing to be the executive director of Kinship Earth. And she's doing a marvelous job with that, introducing the world to flow funding philanthropy, a type of philanthropy that is really at a juncture in time when it's emerging as a global new form of philanthropy. Anyway, without any further introduction, I'd like to hand it over to you, Sid.
Thank you, Stephen. Sending you a big hug. Hi, everybody. So good to see your faces. So we're going to start with an ecstatic dance. So feel free to unmute, get up. No, I'm just kidding. But if you want to, that works too. It's funny. That's how I started the Cascadia talk that I did as well. And people actually thought we were going to dance. So maybe that's in the field. But it is such a delight to be here. I feel like seeds played such a big role in my life, my journey, becoming who I'm meant to be. And it's still very real for me. And I met a lot of family members from around the world. And it was so special to connect with people in Guatemala recently who I've known for many years on Zoom. And we finally got to be together in person. So I really cherished that reunion with Chuck and Stephen and Walter and Nadeem and Will and so many others. But without further ado, oh, we got Edis on, and Edis and other people. But my journey with seeds began at the beginning of the pandemic. At that time, or right before the pandemic hit, I was running an artist wellness residency in downtown Boston. And when the pandemic hit, all of us artists and gig workers were out of work. So then I started thinking, okay, how do we radically self-rely with community support? How do we take care of our basic needs of food, water, shelter, community? Then I discovered seeds, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can make a proposal to the citizens and they'll give me this currency to reward people to support with building infrastructure at community centers. Okay. So I made the proposal, shared the dream, and the citizens voted. We got 200,000 seeds to distribute. And now 5 years later, we've done over 50 different workshops and festivals, teaching people the skills to grow food, build structures, resolve conflict, explore different governance modalities. And seeds was really important for the start of Permatours. It kickstarted what we did in many ways. People bought our seeds for cash to help fund our work. Some of the people on this call, you hooked it up and helped us get going. We were doing mini trade circles and practicing trade and exchange with seeds for tomatoes and massages and whatever else. And it was a beautiful weaving mechanic. And I was blessed to be able to educate people about seeds at these different community centers. And now Permatours is still exploring how we can create our own tokenomics model with the help of Haifa. And we're excited about the potential for seeds to help serve as a bridge between local community currencies as well in the network. So through the help of people at the Prophetic DAO incubator and at the gathering, we're still refining our utility token and our voice token, and excited for that next iteration of Permatours. And we're excited about the potential to create Permatours chapters around the world to support with galvanizing action and tapping into tourist communities to help with inspired regenerative action infrastructure development. And we actually are exploring that with the community that we were just with in Guatemala. Also, excitingly, Permatours is going international. I had nothing to do with this event that I just posted in the chat, which is really exciting. You know, the beauty of DAOs, and Reiki shared this as well, as the idea of initiating something and starting something and then making yourself as the catalyst obsolete. And I'm very much feeling that in Permatours, to see the team create this event in Mexico with me doing literally nothing is so incredible. And I'm so proud of the team and so excited. And again, excited for Permatours to be spreading its wings and helping activate action around the world. So I'll keep you all posted on that. Next is Kinship Earth, as Stephen Gomes mentioned. So at Kinship Earth, we're practicing flow funding, which is an approach to philanthropy that's all about reducing the bureaucracy and the time-intensive nature of accessing grants. So there are no grant applications. You can't apply for a grant. We have an incredible network of ambassadors and change makers and indigenous elders and people who are deeply embedded in their communities, and they make recommendations for who would be a good fit to receive and deploy capital. We invite those individuals to receive money to give away however they see fit based on the needs of their communities and ecosystems. And if they say yes, then we give them the resources, and then we ask for their stories about a year after. So we just completed our first cohort. The stories are beautiful. I'll share some of those in the chat after I've spoken here, so you can check out just some of the incredible stories and the power of giving change makers autonomy to deploy funds instead of asking them to conform to what a foundation thinks needs to happen, which, as I'm sure many of you are familiar with, unfortunately, institutional philanthropy often perpetuates the problems that it's trying to solve, because a lot of times only the people with the time, money, and academic background can actually carve out the space to look for grants and access grants, and then also to be able to fulfill the reporting requirements is really intense oftentimes. So we're trying to solve that problem by reducing that friction and those barriers to access. And we've deployed $300,000 thus far to over 12 bioregions and bioregional communities. We also just got another grant from Novo Foundation, and we got the green light to deploy this latest tranche to different bioregional communities that we're weaving with as a part of the Planetary Party initiative. So that's the next thing I'm going to share. How am I doing on time, Stephen?
You're doing great. You have about 1.5 minutes.
Okay, amazing.
You can have some of my time.
Huh?
You can have some of my time. Go as long as you
Oh,
need.
okay. All right. Drum roll, Planetary Party. Okay, so the Planetary Party is a myth, it's a meme, and it's a culture. Hashtag Planetary Party, party for the planet. Many of us are already partying for the planet. Like right now, we're gathering, we're celebrating, and we're focused on healing ourselves, our communities, our lands, our bioregions. We're focused on regeneration, systemic change. That's what the Planetary Party is all about. So that's the meme that we're spreading. And we're also developing a protocol, or a protocol of protocols, which is a community engagement process that involves connecting with bioregional communities and deeply listening, if they invite us in to listen. And as a part of that listening, really trying to understand what are the needs of the community, what is their culture about, what are their goals, what are their challenges, and what are the solutions that they have to those challenges. And then for any gaps that they have, we tap into our global network of solutions. And then all of this leads to a peak moment to showcase these solutions. So it's like a Burning Man moment, but instead of burning down beautiful sculptures, we're building lasting infrastructure, and we're creating opportunities for local community members to gather in civic assembly, to receive different governance frameworks to support their decision-making. We see each peak festival moment as an opportunity to launch and financially seed a bioregional flow fund. That means giving these local communities the tools and support to create their own unique flow funding foundation so they can tap into local wealth and beyond and flow unrestricted capital. Of course, each festival will involve healing arts and cultural exchange and theater and other ways to connect and deepen relationship. But really what we're doing is we're also creating opportunities to attract a variety of resources, from traditional philanthropy to flow funding philanthropy to social impact investment to helping these communities tap into the carbon credit market finance world and crypto. And we're inviting donors into a peer ecosystem where they can play and witness the impact of their dollars. So this is the next evolution of how Kinship Earth can increase the adoption of flow funding, how it can support communities with embracing and creating their own flow funds, and how we can also weave together a bioregional network and develop infrastructure to support the resource and knowledge sharing across bioregions. So I just said a lot. happy to talk to anybody further about this. I'll share some links in the chat, but I'm so grateful to be with you all and to keep on keeping on in this effort to create a more beautiful world together.
Thank you so much, Sid. And as always, you're brilliant in what you do, and you're motivating and inspiring, and keep up the good work. We're so happy to have you on the team. And I thank myself every day that you're willing to share with us. So I'm moving on now to bringing in Reiki Corden, who is coming to us from Lake Adatlan. And Reiki has been involved with seeds from the very beginning, with people like Reggie Ludicky and Will Blakey and Nick Hager and others who were at the time living in Indonesia, and they were able to coalesce this idea. Reiki was the chief spokesman and catalyst for moving it forward. Thank you so much for that contribution. And he's continuing today as another Seeds alumni. He's going to be speaking about his initiative that he began a while back, and that initiative is what he's now focused on, which is the the effort to bring together different eco-villages and people working on the land. He's always been a person focused primarily on food and on the land, and that's where his heart is. So he's going to be talking to about that. So welcome, Reiki, and the floor is yours.
Sure. How much time do I have left, Steve?
You've got about 8 minutes.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks for that introduction. Real quick background. And when we started Seeds, it was all about let's create the financial and economic systems for regenerative civilization. And that call pulled in a lot of beautiful humans. So over 7 years of networking and meeting all these beautiful humans, once upon a time, back in 2021 now, there was about 40 of us that convened a call to say, like, what do we actually need? And a lot of these people on this call had land projects where they're eco-villages or farms on the ground. They were working with land in some way to regenerate it. I mean, that's ultimately the foundation of our regenerative civilization is land and healing it and regenerating it. So 40 of us came out on a call and we were like, what is the biggest needs that we could start, that we can come together to start meeting together that would best serve us? That turned into a 13 call series that involved hundreds of different people across our movement coming together to try to surface the biggest needs and tensions and ways that we could serve each other. And that turned into Regen Civics. So that was about, again, 4 years ago in 2021. So yeah, my role in that was to just keep holding space and catalyzing it and trying to pull the threads all together and make it happen. And then I took a 4-year break to just really focus on fatherhood. And then in the last couple of months, I've been finding myself, he's maturing more now and a little bit more autonomous. So it's giving me more time to kind of jump back in this movement. So what is Regen Civics? Then what did we surface? We surfaced 2 things. One, we needed to have a fund to be able to fund all of our different projects, but also give a better story to investors, because a lot of the projects are spending a lot of time trying to pitch individual investors for their projects, and it wasn't working very well. And what we found actually is it's a better sell for investors if we are all networked together. It's less risk for them, and they're investing in all of us rather than investing in just a couple of us, right? So that was the first thing, is we needed to create a fund across all of our projects that would represent all of us for investors to be invested to. And it would solve a lot of downstream problems that happened when one investor has a large stake in an eco-village, for example. That's one of the main reasons eco-villages were failing, was that, conflict and tension with that dynamic. The second one is we needed an accelerator to help land projects get all on the same page, because we were playing so many different games. It was hard, and I call things games. Many of you who know me so far, know this nomenclature, and it's the way of viewing kind of like our economic systems, or when any time humans are coming together to do stuff together, I just like calling that a game. So the other thing was helping land projects come up with their game and make sure they do have a clear game so that people can play with them. Right. So that was the other need that was surfaced, is to be able to have a similar language across all the different land projects, so that people like myself and anyone else would be able to go from land project to land project and be able to actually contribute and add value to that community, to understand how to do that and how to play the game, so to speak. There's a few other needs that were surfaced, but I'm not going to get into that today because that was the primary ones. So then back in 2021, we ran one season of helping 13 different land projects create their game. We learned a ton through that process, and we refined the accelerator journey, if you will. And we plan on launching that again next March. So that's the first announcement, is in the next equinox coming up in the middle of March. We'll be launching the next season 2 of our Region Civics Accelerator and inviting more land projects to apply. We already have enough land projects to run that season, but it'll be a collective governance process of everyone in the DAO to pick which 13 land projects are going to be part of that accelerator. The same thing we did in season 1 when we ran that. And then the second part of that is there's a timeline for launching Region Civics, and part of that is it's a DAO that's governed by the land projects and organizations that help them. So it won't be me, putting together the foundations of Region Civics, and it hasn't been on this journey anyway. As I mentioned, it's been a collaborative process with a couple hundred people giving their input and being part of this journey. My role in this is just simply as the catalyst to try to hold the space, make sure that we're all on the same page, and moving it forward to launching it, right? So part of that launch timeline is to get at least 13 land projects. I think we already have more than that to be represented, and at least 13 organizations that are helping land projects. So this is the other role of Region Civics, is to be that network that partners with organizations that help land projects at each stage of development. So everything from aligning with construction organizations that'll help projects literally build, to helping them get the funding they need and access development funds. So this is something that we were just talking about here in Guatemala, is this working with Mark Buckley of Regen Hub. And he's got a protocol for being able to access those trillions of dollars of money that banks have put aside to say, hey, these funds are for regenerative development. And he's saying only 1% of those have been accessed because there's just not enough projects that know how to speak the language to access these funds. So he's agreed to be able to help land projects access those. And what that looks like is that we only actually need 10% of the funding the project needs in investor capital, and the other 90% can come from regenerative development loans. So that would be a really key step in helping projects, evolve and develop and expand. So anyway, I've just given you a couple examples, but the idea is we need about 30 of these organizations that help projects at each step of the way. And we already, again, have those, but we're also looking for more because redundancy is better.
Reiki, will you put in the chat when you get a chance how people can hook up with the Regen Civics program? I know you have something.
Yes, of course. I could put in the links and the 2 ways to apply. So if you're a land project or an organization, how you could apply to be part of the network.
Okay, you got about 30 seconds.
Okay, and then yeah, that's it. So then once we have those and we have investor capital committed, we're going to be running another incubator similar to what we just did here in Guatemala, where we actually launch Region Civics. And I hope to do that at some point later this year. And then that's when Region Civics will be open for, distributing funds. So yeah, that's the long of it. I'll put in some links in the chat. I appreciate y'all's time, and I love you. Looking forward to keep creating this movement with you.
Thank you so much, Reiki. That's wonderful. And I really appreciate all you've done over the years to continue the seeds movement and be the catalyst and the spokesperson and do such inspiring videos for everybody has kept people motivated. And I know that Walter in Ecuador is going to be very interested in Regen Civics and many others as well. So thanks for that information. Now I'm going to move on to another Seeds alumni and one of the early pioneers, Danny Quilich, who was in Guatemala, and she and I were able to hook up again and be able to be in person. And I don't know if you all recall when I was saying that the Seeds movement needs to regularly have events where we meet in person. It's so energizing and motivating. It's just beyond anything you could do on Zoom. And so she was there, and we were able to reconnect. I remember when I first met her in person, I made a point of going around Europe and meeting as many Seeds activists who were active in Europe. I went all over Europe as a major trip, and I met her in Berlin, and we were there, but I was so sick. I had COVID and I didn't even know it. I could hardly even talk. And it's funny because when I got to Guatemala, I got sick again and lost my voice. But fortunately, right after I gave my workshop. So anyway, what is being here today asked of Donnie is to explain the migration from the Haifa 2.0 platform, DAO platform, to the Haifa 3.0 DAO platform, which is really a much better platform. But there is a learning curve to doing that. And she's here to talk to us about those steps of migrating. And we're doing the same thing with the Seeds Collaboratory DAO platform as well. So go ahead, Donnie.
Thank you, Stephen. Yeah, good to hear that your voice is better. Luckily, back then when we met in Berlin, I had, because you couldn't speak, more time to speak to your wife, which was very beautiful. So I could connect to her. And yes, I totally agree. It's lovely to see all your faces and some old friend like Mark. It's so great to see you again, but also friends we've just been together with. And I can just agree to say it was so deeply nourishing to be together in person. And I really can't wait for the next one. And I'm grateful that Will and Reiki and I already committed to continue, and we'll see whether in a year, wherever we're going to see each other again, hopefully more of your faces will join in person. So yeah, thank you, Stephen, for inviting me to show the new tool. I don't want to go into the depth of presentation and stuff too much. What I would really love is to have everyone after the next 2, 3, 4 minutes understand how you can sign up yourself. So my goal is to just explain to you how you can go onto the platform, onto the network, and then get your own profile, and maybe also shortly explain how you could create your own space if you want that. But I think that as soon as the Seeds Collaborative DAO is ready to onboard new members, that's probably the best first playground for all of you to test it out. And as Stephen already said, yes, it's quite simple. So a lot more simple than the version 2. You don't have to activate other wallets to, create your currency wallet and stuff. You just really sign up with an email address, and then you have your profile. So what I thought is that if it's possible that I can share my screen, yes, it is. I will share my screen and I will show you how easy it is while we're on this call. So maybe, yeah, can you see my screen now? I think you can, right?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. So you see when you open the URL, I've already put it into the chat. You see this first page. And then you see on the top right corner here, get started. If you go on that bottom, you will be led to another page, which looks like this, which is already the network page. And then you just have to follow this very simple UX. You go on sign in, and then you will ask how you want to sign in. I can just recommend that you use the easiest email address you can use, because wherever you want to log in from, whether from your desktop or your mobile. It's always have to be the same way how you want to log in. So for me, that was my Google email address. And so it's this one. If I just click on that, and that's the same way how you're going to sign up, then the profile is going to be created automatically, which also means that you automatically now have a wallet. So when you look into your profile, you will be asked to fill out the name, your nickname, then a short description about yourself, email address, and whatever URL link you want to put there. You can put your website, you can put your social media, but you could also put, for example, a link to a slide deck or something, and that's your profile. And you can see here, export keys. This is where you can download your keys for your wallet. So you automatically have a wallet when you have signed up on Haifa. What then the next step is interesting. You cannot see yet the Seeds Collaborative DAO, but I'm sure that as soon as we're ready for it, Stephen will send around the link where you can then sign up. But you can already have a look which spaces, which other DAOs are already here. Some of you might know. I don't know whether Regen Civics is already public here, but definitely you will see some of the from the ecosystem, and you can have a look whether you want to become a member in one of those, right? So it's quite easy. I'm showing you with Club DAO. That's the DAO from Will and the home of the incubator DAO. I'm already a member, you can see here. But if I wouldn't be, there would be a sign saying request invite. And then you click on that, and then you will be voted in as a member if the members of this DAO agree. Okay, so going back just one more step to show you, if you want to, how you can create your own space, starting with the profile. To make it easy for you, I go on the network page. Here you can see this other blue button saying create space. Similar, as easy as creating your own profile, this is also how you create a space. You would have to type in a name, bring in a logo or some other little icon so that people will recognize it. You have a background banner, you have your purpose of the space. You can tag several different areas. This will help later to find you in the network page. You can put URLs, and then you choose whether you want to be in sandbox mode, which is like the secret mode, so no one will find you on the network page yet. You want to go on pilot mode or on live mode, and then you create, and that's it. Then you have created your, what we do not call DAO anymore. Now we call it adaptive organization, but you have created your space for your organization.
Danny, would you go to where it says find a space and put in Seeds Collaboratory DAO? I think we're actually public. And yeah, there it is.
Oh, there it is. Sorry, Stephen. I thought that you're still.
Yeah, no, we're public now, but I will be populating it with new members shortly.
Okay. So here you can see the bottom. If you know, request an invite, you go on the request invite, and then Stephen and the team will receive your application, and then the members who are already on the DAO would have to vote you in. That's how it works. So you see very shortly, for all of you, you haven't had a look, the overview shows what are the different spaces in the organization. In the members area, you can see who are the members who are already there. Right now, it's only Stephen. And then the agreements. Those are the proposals, the policies, or also role proposal, contribution proposals that are being up there on voting. So you can see there's many people who already asked to become a member. And then here in the treasury, very transparent, you can see all the rewards that are going in and going out. So whether it's cryptocurrency, whether it's your voice token that you have later, or others. So I don't want to go into details too much. I would love to invite you. There will be regular town hall meetings every Wednesday in Haifa, where we will have guests also, like Reiki will be there. Other land projects who were just in Guatemala will be there. Other projects who are creating their DAOs will be there. So we will have different spaces that are showcasing how they are creating their tool, their network page, their space. And we will also answer questions. So it's going to happen Wednesdays. I will be happy to post the link also here. Yeah, and then come and join us in these calls. If you have a specific question, you can always reach out also. Obviously, I'm going to post my email address here, but I'm sure that we will probably also have another meeting for seats, and then I will be also there to answer questions if you have questions around the tool there.
Thank you so much, Danny. I really appreciate it. And you'll see that you'll be getting invitations to join the Seeds Collaboratory DAO for all of you who are already members. And for those of you not, go on there if you want to be a member and request an invitation. And we'll take care of it. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce our new friend and an incredible human being, Douglas Butner. I've been all over the world working with incredible tech geniuses working in this space. I've never come across anyone with quite the talent that Douglas has. He's extraordinary. And as you know, we're in the midst of defining what is the new tokenomics for the rollout and relaunch of the Seeds cryptocurrency. And he was at Guatemala. He lives there at Lake Atitlan. I had a chance to create the new Seeds 3.0 tokenomics team, and he is the key member of it. He has created his own token. He's a smart contract genius. He's also somebody that knows more about liquidity pools than I will ever know and how to put them together. He's also a metaphysician, a all-around Renaissance man, an incredible genius in the work that he does. And I've asked him to work with us and see if we can define a whole new way of creating the Seeds new cryptocurrency that will be reliable, that people can count on, they can use it, and that it will still be functional within a hybrid fiat currency world. And that's key element. So we know we had 11,000 wallet holders in 85 countries, and we're going to get those people back because they're waiting for this. And if what I think can develop out of this conversation with Douglas happens, we will approve it within the Seeds Collaboratory DAO, and then we'll be going forward in 2026. Anyway, Douglas, thank you for being here, and thank you, my friend, for being willing to share with us today.
Thank you, Stephen. I do appreciate the warm welcome. And normally I would try to be humble, but I have done a few things. So when I was 16, I built a social networking website from scratch. I got really into normalizing databases and getting really deep into the code. I'm here today. I was invited to talk about a technology I've developed, which I group under a brand called Flex Tokens. And we have successfully launched the first flexible reward reflection token. So I'll explain what that means. And we're hoping to bring that to Seeds. So I had the pleasure to meet Stephen, to meet a lot of these people I've known from the web space in real life and listen to what they really wanted, including flow funding and including a few other concerns. One I think worth mentioning is the ability to send money to a phone number. So that's something I am working on. That's actually not going to present today, but I do have a working technology to present to you today. So a little bit about what I'm talking about and what we hope to bring to the Seeds technology. Well, I develop on EOS.io tech, which is great because that's where Seeds launched on Telos blockchain. I've been awarded to write smart contracts for 3 foundations that are also based on EOS.io tech, being EOS, being one called Autonomy, which is focused on digital ID, as well as Wax blockchain, which is where my primary app was focused, and I pioneered attention tokens. So to bring it short and concise to why we're here today, I'm going to show you the 3 features, which is our taxes and how we distribute taxes and how that's actually a good thing within our ecosystem. Something that I've created just for this group, inspired by talking to Stephen, and that is having beneficiaries to these taxes, and then trees, which is a simple programmatic solution to flow funding, and how we can set up liquidity pools, which is a little bit too in-depth, but just a brief overview of how we can use liquidity pools to make value that doesn't run away. So first off, let's just show you the proof in the pudding. So on November 26th, I sent Stephen 1,000 of this token called Easy. And this is the exact technology that I've now improved, and I will be offering as a solution to seeds if it's what is desired. So out of that 1,000 Easy that I sent him, he now has 1,044. So what's going on here? Well, if we scroll back down, we're seeing that we're getting all these little, what we call reflections of this token Easy. Those reflections are coming from this transfer tax that I was talking about earlier. So if we go to the contract, we can see that we have an amount of Easy sitting on the contract, and that's actually been collecting because each time that people are transferring this Easy, they're paying a 2% fee. Now, in this original version of the contract, it was very basic, but we did have the ability that you could switch your reward token. And this is the basis of how I believe that we can network financially all these eco-villages, as well as any sort of project that we want to support. So just to be really clear, in this model, the token's charging a tax, it's sending that to you, but if you want, you can choose to get a different reward token. Today, this morning, I launched the first version of what I will present for seeds for a token called One, which is a collaboration with another beautiful humans that I met, T-Rex and sorry, I'm blanking, and Temple Earth. So Temple Earth, as well as T-Rex, who's working directly with me to program this, we've created the next version. So we got that we're sending out the money, but there's a few loose ends here. So first thing you can do is you can opt out of the tax. If you don't want to pay this 2% tax, you can opt out, but then you're not going to receive those rewards. Now, that's really important because if we're going to work with other sort of markets, we have to have the ability to be clear with the money. So this is what sends out all the money to all the people, and anybody can call this. It's not just me. Anybody can call this action, and the contract will send out everything that it's owned. So what's exciting is now, instead of just receiving your reflection, I've added the ability for seeds to have a benefactor. So you can set a percentage from 0 to 100 of your reflection, and this is basically free money that you're getting, and then send that to a project that you want to support. Now, the second feature with the normal reflections is we can have it automatically reflect that into a project token that we're supporting each month. So with One, we're choosing a specific village to tokenize, and then everybody who's invested in this token, who's getting these reflections, this interest, they're automatically buying this token. And they're not just donating, they're receiving that Ecovillage token so that when we have a model that they can pay this token to go visit, they have all these sort of services they can unlock in this global network, creating a real connection that our investment slowly brings us this return, just like nature slowly brings us fruits over time. So I know I don't have infinite time, so I'll go to the final feature, and then I'll touch on liquidity pools if I'm not over. So that is the tree function. So as far as regional funding, Squid touched on this idea that we're gonna trust somebody to distribute this money, right? So that's exactly what we've set up here. You can direct to an account that's automatically set up to direct to other accounts, And some of those accounts can be now branches that can then direct to other accounts. So it's a very simple system that directly routes every penny that comes into place A to place B, C, and D, and then D can also be E, F, and G. So I'm super excited about that. And then the final part of this, which if you're techie, if you're into blockchain, you're going to see the power of this. You can set a custom memo. So as we're giving these payments, we can programmatically trigger, for example, a market, for example, a bridge to move money in and off of this blockchain, this EOSIO blockchain to any other EVM blockchain, things like that. So there is a working bridge. We're on a blockchain called XPR. This is the tokens that are bridged onto XPR. It runs through one of the biggest companies called Fireblocks, which handles over $10 trillion of volume. So it's a very reliable bridge. And then to touch base on how we're able to create a redeemability. So it's easy just to inflate money and send it out, but every single penny we send out comes from taxes. And every single dollar that's invested in one or in this token easy, which is hopefully going to be the basis of the new seeds, goes into this liquidity pool because we take all of the supply and we set it in day one, we set it into position so that as soon as money comes in, it doesn't go out further than it came in, because every single token in circulation came out of these pools, money had to go in, and then if they're selling it, it's going back into these pools. So we have redeemability for a token. In Easy's case, we did stable coins. In seeds, we could do another coin, and we could do Easy, which is then backed in other stable coins. And this becomes the economic basis. We're creating these transfer fees because we're providing liquidity between different pools, and we're incentivizing our liquidity providers to hold that liquidity and to purchase our tokens to do that. And then the reflection aspect provides the circular economy. And to summarize, this is something that's been running in the wild. It's been proven with Easy. We're just launching the second test today with one. And then next year, we look forward to improving it even more and seeing what it looks like to bring forward a new version of seeds that helps to fulfill a lot of the original goals.
What happened? You hit.
Sorry, I was just saying, I'm honor the old seeds holder as well. And thank you. I know I probably ran over, but I appreciate giving me the space to share.
No, you have one more minute. You have one more minute.
Oh, okay.
But I do want to say that this function that you introduced of the automatic bridging to other blockchains is very, very big. It's not theoretical. Doug was able to arrange for a one-time fee of $2,000 for this particular function, and then it's forever working, bridging to all the other blockchains, which solves a big, huge problem that we've had in the past. So this is a beautiful system. We have a team that Doug is on and Chuck is on, I'm on, looking at this in detail, and we will be bringing it to the Seeds Collaboratory DAO as we perfect the final tokenomics design. But go ahead, Doug.
Well, that's all I had, but to touch on the bridge, so that's something that it runs through Fireblocks. It's something that I have set up through Easy. I had to pay like a one-time fee to somebody who kind of pays like a $700 monthly fee. So he's kind of looking for people to help set up one time to sort of curb his costs. But the other option, if we wanted to do it independently, would be about like $700 a month. For these type of bridges. I'm scrolling back because I wanted to see there's some bridge transactions in here, and it's just a specific memo that you send. So like Stephen says, these are things that we can now program in that can allow us to use the technology that we've really fell in love with at first, at least me, with Telos, and then bring the value back and forth from these other blockchains. So that's all I got.
Douglas. I so appreciate you being willing to share your genius with us. And I just have to say, for those of you that haven't worked with Douglas yet, you can reach out to him separately. He's also got, I mean, if you wouldn't mind sharing your GitHub uh, address that you have there, if you want to know more about who he is. But he is a delight to work with. And I have to say that when you're working with him and he does something, it's automatically the cutting edge. He is the cutting edge. So when he does it, it's the cutting edge. And we need that solution in seeds because what I found out, at least so far, and maybe you can touch on this a little bit, worst case scenario, as near as I can tell, you're never going to lose your original investment or money. I shouldn't call it an investment. Your funding, let's just say we start Seeds 3.0 at 1 cent. It's never it's protected. I don't quite understand that protection mechanism, but maybe you could say a little bit about that before we jump over to Bart.
Sure. So it is something that it takes wrapping your head around. But one way to think about it is that money is water, and that if you think of liquidity, meaning the ability to buy things for dollars as water, we have buckets that we place at specific spaces, and then those are price points, and those buckets are splashing out money and our token. But if we start at the beginning and we lay out the exact buckets that we're willing to buy and sell from, and we keep all of our, what we call the total supply, we keep all of our supply in those buckets so that every single token that comes out, $1 has to go in to take it, right? Then we can make sure, as long as we don't ever adjust these and we can cryptographically lock them, then there's always going to be that dollar to take back out. So there is the risk up until, or even a little bit above the original price. So with Easy, we started at 1 penny. We're now 20% above that, or 19% above that. And it could potentially go down, if everybody sold at the same time, close to that 1 penny price, but it could never go down below that. So your risk is theoretically 20% instead of theoretically 100% in most other systems. And in a more realistic way, once you know you have more holders, it's unlikely to go down very much. And it does remain stable simply because we keep all the money in the bank. It's as simple as that.
Great, great. Thanks for explaining. This is a very, very complicated type of subject to handle in a conversation like this. It takes a lot of detailed discussion to map it out and understand it. And I'm very confident that we will, and we'll get it back to everybody as we continue our work. And now I'm going to move on to Bart. Bart is coming to us. Bart Elbertsy is coming to us from Amsterdam. Bart is an independent entrepreneur. He's loved seeds for a long time. He's watched what happened to it. He's watched it as it declined in our Seeds 1.0 tokenomics, reached the limit of its endurance and then crashed. Basically, he was so motivated by what he saw that he put together his own team independently. I told him just to proceed and we'll coordinate with him. He's created something called SEMO, which in Esperanto stands for seed. And he is going to have a launch event in March for this new approach to seeds. And we are closely coordinating with him. And hopefully we will find a way to meld with each other in some form or another. But he's got a brilliant solution to where to take seeds to the next level. And I'm so happy that he's here and willing to explain to us. So go ahead, Bart. You're gonna take yourself. There you go.
Yeah. Thanks, Stephen, for the introduction. Really nice to be here and to have the chance to speak. So yeah, it was. I have committed quite some time to seeds in 2021. I think it was really exciting to find seeds. I came up with this idea for SEMO that was pretty like on the beginning. And then I was like looking for other things that were called seeds, and I found seeds, and I was like, wow, this already exists. That's awesome. yeah, and started developing there. And like after some period, I realized I believe that both SAML and seeds have a relevance to exist beside each other. And I'm just going to present to you what I've been working on, and also a little bit the connection that I see with seeds. And let's see how that connection emerges. So yeah, I will begin with like a core mission of seeds, I think, has always been to figure out new ways how to exchange value and make decisions. When you look at that, it's quite experimental on the level that we're trying to do it in comparison to like traditional society, what's already there. And yeah, so with SAML, I've always like looked at how can we build this? How can we build like the way how I envision exchanging value and making decisions to be. And I always came with the difficulty that building it in traditional society is very complicated, especially on the field of raising money. That's what makes raising money difficult in how we exchange value is that you need to bring a lot of the old money into the new system, and then you easily get an issue with like creating a new paradigm because you have too many old paradigm constructs that have to like go into the new. So there's different ways to approach how we exchange value and make decisions. You can by starting with something else that creates a transition towards like what it's really about. And I mean, not something else, but like you have to grab something specific that can be like a community of farmers and permaculturists gathering, uniting with a currency, which is a lot of the approach of seeds. It can be a new type of identification system, which was also something in seeds. And there's several approaches to this. The approach that I went for is to look at how we value things. So instead of how we exchange value, it's how we value things. And this is actually an element of how we make decisions, because we decide together how we value things. And this is a very important aspect of like the new paradigm, because first of all, like you can see it as like a fair pricing system. But like in a bigger picture, so how we value things has to do with if we don't know the information in our economy, we can't really give it a value. So in order to value things collectively, we need to radically know the information inside our economy. We need radical transparency. So yeah, and when you get radical transparency, you can, with collective decision making, make a fair pricing system, and that fair pricing system can be the foundation of this new economical system, where we value things based on ecological values, social values, quality values, and like maybe the reliability of the information. So that is that was my line of thinking. And yeah, I've created a platform. I'm building an organization that is going to build a platform that is very focused on how we value things, with already a strategy to how we exchange value and make decisions. And of course, it's not linear. It doesn't go from one to the other. So yeah, from here, start sharing my screen to explain what I've been building. I will explain everything. Yeah, so first, to share what I'm building, I will go a little bit into the app. So this is, it's in the end, this fair pricing system, or like radical transparency system, is all about a database. The database is like the most important element of this development. And now I'm going to show you, we're now building this app, and this app is going to show like how this database can be used. So this is just a bit. Okay, so you get into the app. First time you're opening it, you can select some preferences, like how much do you want to avoid environmental destruction, want to boycott it fully, or you can give it a percentage. And then there's a bunch of options, labor practices, human rights, war involvement. It's just a template of how customization can work. Some other customizations. Then an introduction. Okay, now we're on the home page. Here you can see some things have been scanned, so you can press on the scan a product and then scan a barcode or have AI recognition. There you go, scanning now, and then you see a product. So these are the four main categories. You have like a social score, people, an ecological score, performance score, and a reliability score with the reliability of the information. And each score has a scale from -100 to +100 in this setup, which demonstrates whether it's regenerative, constructive, or degenerative. It's just to have a neutral point. It's not always the scale of degenerative to regenerative. This depends on the subject sometimes. So that's salad. The scores are put very ambitiously. Accidentally clicked it to the next. Okay. Back. Yeah, so this is like what the product page can look like. Can like it. Okay. So now you can click on each of these categories because it's about radical transparency. So everyone can like dive in as deep as they want to like the source code. And each main category has a bunch of subcategories, and the subcategories have subcategories. And so there you go. You go on people. Oh no, did it again. That's annoying. So now people, then in the subcategory clicked on working conditions, and then you can see like the voluntariness of work, meeting the basic standards. Like this is just a prototype, so nothing that stands here makes true sense. But then you can click on like the sources and the API code where this result came from, and the user inputs that made up this result. And then you have like lots of different categories. So that's just an instruction on a demonstration, I mean, on how this app, like how this database can work in an app. And I'm also working now on a shopping list app, so people can just like have their shopping list and it's in the database. So like the actual products that they're buying are in the shopping list that doesn't exist yet. And then they also have this like impact metrics within it. And it's gonna like keep building on like having personalized recommendations within the app. And all sorts of things that it's going to like has the potential to grow into like a daily use shopping app for anyone doing groceries or such things. And also the scores can be added to like e-commerce platforms and such.
So Bart, are you still on your trajectory to have a March 21st soft launch?
Yes, I will get to that. The soft launch will actually be earlier. That's more public launch.
Okay.
So yeah, the potential of this, I'll keep a few things short. I don't know how much time I have left. Environmental, social, governance, ESG requirements are like getting a lot stricter these days. That's going pretty fast, especially in Europe. And organizations don't really know how to approach the policy changes. They're looking for organizations that can support them with that. So that's a big opportunity for like a collaborative situation with organizations to like get increased transparency. But yeah, to have like support from organizations that and then on the other side you have barcode scanning apps are gaining traction. It's being used more and more, and it's like none of these apps are really, they're all quite easy productions. So there's not many serious products in the barcode scanning world yet. So yeah, and then this one is pretty unique in the market because each barcode scanning app is serving a niche. And this is all about like being kind of the what Meta is to communication, to be that in this like transparency apps world. Like some barcode apps are for nutrition, other are for brand verification or for specific boycotting of Israel. There's a specific app, for example. But yeah, there doesn't exist an app where you can just customize and yeah, have your like scoring on anything. Yeah, so I thought that I have a bunch more things to share, so I will go on here. Then the revenue model. So yeah, this is going to drive as much revenue as possible to build the broader economic system and governance system around it. I will share later how that is like designed in a nice way. And the revenue model is on the yeah, it has a lot of like comparison to how the world actually already works in the field of apps. It's a freemium app. On the back end, it's like works a lot like certification companies in some way when it comes to like the software as a service API. That is yeah, a subscription kind of thing that is very common. That's like certification companies offer that. So that's like taking an example from there. Then the monetization of data is like, yeah, with any platform. And then yeah, two more things. I don't go too deep into this. Everything is going to be very user controlled. It's not the same as traditional like platforms trying to earn as much money as possible. Like the whole like monetary system around, within this is like designed to create a new paradigm economy. So I get more into that here actually. This is the like kind of the yeah the how the voice and equity is designed. So right in the bottom you see like the organization that is going to hold the database and yeah, build the Sano app, but it's all about the database. And the database can have third-party users. So Seeds, for example, can be a third-party user. I get to that later. There are investors that can have, they can't have shares, but they can have certificates representing shares. And all the shares are held by this non-profit that is called For Humanity. And For Humanity gives shares, gives certificates that are a representation of those shares to investors. And this is quite a common system, especially in the Netherlands, but also in other countries. From here, it's going to be like a traditional tech company scale-up investor model. So there are rounds. Each round has a higher price, and for each round, new shares are distributed. And because of these certificates, you can like change the rights in comparison how it would be with shares. So the people that are investing do not have governance rights. All the governance rights are with For Humanity Association, which is the only governor of nonprofit For Humanity.
Another way to say this is in the Netherlands, they have this tripart system, which has a nonprofit, a for-profit, and a governance organization. So it's unique. We could do that in the US, for example, but it's a lot more work and a lot more difficult. But in the Netherlands, it's built into the law there that you can create these tripart systems, which is quite unique.
Yeah, Well, actually, the model of, for example, OpenAI is not super different from this. It is different, but there are some things in the US that are coming kind of close to this. I think. So yeah, what's really cool about this is that the people that are investing in certificates by a traditional tech company scale-up investor model believe in the old paradigm to the extent that they like to invest in this way. They are okay with, like, okay, there's a whole new economic system being built that's something they like, but they don't go as far in their mind of like that economic system is going to be the new normal. So they are investing from the old paradigm, while if this new economic system becomes the new normal, their investment won't have value anymore. But they accept that because that's such an ambitious reality that they are okay with investing from the old paradigm, and that is separating like this like wealth going into this creation of this new economic system from the wealth distribution within the new economic system.
Bart,
So,
unfortunately, we're running out of time on your presentation.
I'll go on.
Yeah.
Now I do really quick. So the Seeds shopping app is like could be using the SAMO database, and then it would look something like this. I already made a prototype for that. Just clicking through here. So that's that. Then we go on. Oh yeah, there's already a whole team working on this since September. There's like a whole bunch of people full time. Yeah, I will also share the slides so you can read through it. Yeah, so then this we'll go to that slide after this one. This has taken like 6 years of research and development, which was not much focused on this database building. This was on the whole like governance and economics. So it's designed from a much broader blueprint. And yeah, here, like how I see the connection with Seeds is that Seeds is a vibrant community of pioneering regenerators. So this is like a pioneering movement, where SAMO is more finding solutions for global use. And yeah, so yeah, Seeds is for the pioneers. SAMO is more like a little bit more directed to like use for everyone. Yeah, there's a few other things, and there's a build up how to make this global and with a full economic integration. And then yeah, this is the next steps. Okay, so this is some steps that have been happening, and now I had a surgery which delayed me a little bit, but the first 50K is raised, and I think that will go up a little bit more until mid-January, and then I will focus fully on an Equinox event when it comes to raising money, while in the same time there is a 4-month professional branding process for branding and communication that's starting in January. Now SAMO doesn't really have a good brand yet, and yeah, other key players will join full time, and the app will soft launch in January, and then in March the app will have a public launch. There will be an event where I'm going to invite the big investor network to like get involved with like a contribution that's small to them, big when you count it all up. And then I expect to have that's like the moment where the scale up starts. Then there will be a good amount of money in to start building. Then the team can grow, and the app will have its public launch, so there will be much faster feedback loops on how to keep building on the database. So that then I will share a bunch of links about this Equinox event. I would have loved to share a lot more specifics and to even like invite you, but that's not where I'm at yet. I like to have things settled before I start like saying stuff. and I'm still arranging a bunch of things, and it might be the most logical now to do. First I was thinking of a multiple day something, so it would make sense for everyone around the world to come. That may not end up being the case, so let's see how that goes. But I will share a bunch of links now, where and yeah, I would like to know already, like, because I'm still like in steps of organizing this Equinox event. If you are interested in, if you're potentially interested in joining this, then one of the links is a forum where you can let this know. So in this way, I can have an idea of like how many of you would be interested in coming. Would it make sense to organize something special around that? So that would be in Amsterdam. So here, yeah, the links are the website, these slides, the Discord server of Samo, the Drive folder of Samo, the Trello boards, and then the forum where you can leave your information.
Thank you, Bart. I know it's just a very little time for you to explain, which is an enormous effort that you're doing. And I know you haven't even covered a lot of the things that I know that you're doing, but this is a wonderful initiative. I can see where Seeds could work with you in the future. I'm looking forward to it, and we'll stay in touch and make sure everybody's informed of everything that you're doing. I think it's an amazing initiative. You're a very bold entrepreneurial guy that is deciding to just on your own, just go ahead and bite this. And it's amazing to me that you even exist and that you're doing this on your own. So congratulations for having the vision and the courage and the commitment and dedication to do this. I really appreciate that. Now
Thanks
we're
a
going
lot.
to move on to our emphasis in Seeds has always been, and also in Kinship Earth, supporting the bioregional movement. The bioregional movement, in very short, is the understanding that the earth speaks to us through the language of place, through the language of its watersheds. And if we really want to live in harmony with the earth, we have to understand that language. And the bioregional movement is doing that. Our next speaker is Brandon Letzinger, who is executive director of one of the largest bioregions in the world, which runs from southern Alaska to central Oregon, called Cascadia. One of the things they did was map all the watersheds from Alaska to Oregon, and they noted that the major native language groups changed as the major watersheds changed, which tells you that indigenous people at their core level understood that you live in harmony with the earth, your language changes, the way you live change in order to live in that place. So I'm going to introduce you now to Brandon. Are you there?
I am. Yeah, thank you. Uh, yeah, and it's funny. I feel like I think I'm a little bit of the new kid on the block for the Seeds community. So thank you, I think, for inviting me in. And I've had the pleasure of now meeting, I think, several of you in person, which has been really lovely. I will just go ahead and share a little bit of a presentation. And as Stephen noted, I'll just say that Executive Director of the Department of Bioregion, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. But one of our largest focus areas is certainly the Cascadia bioregion, the Cascadia movement. And then I'll talk a little bit today about our program, Regenerate Cascadia, all with the focus of really providing a link and an idea that these ideas that we're talking about cannot be abstracted, they cannot be removed. And so our organizing and is really place-based. And so a lot of us have our feet both in this larger theoretical global realm, but we also need to keep it rooted and keep our feet firmly planted in the dirt where we live as well. So for those who aren't familiar, this is the Cascadia bioregion. The Cascadia bioregion, as we define it, is defined through the watershed, so the Fraser, the Snake, and then the temperate rainforest all the way from southeast Alaska down through Northern California. We use this framework because it is the geology, it is the hardest lines, all the way from the Cascadia subduction zone out to the Yellowstone caldera. And this is a massive area stretching for more than 4,000 kilometers. But we think it's a really important framework to use because ultimately nature acts on the scale of landscapes, watersheds, ecoregions, and bioregions. And so if we're talking about any of these issues, we do as well. And no one state, province, group, organization, or community will solve this problem alone. And we can't be divided in these efforts. If you're not familiar with Regenerate Cascadia launched in 2023. It emerged out of the Salmon Nation Edge Prize, where I met my co-administrator, Claire Atwell. And then we really launched it through what we called a bioregional activation tour, where we went in October of 2023. We went to 14 different communities, met with more than 1,000 different people, all around the question of what would it take to regenerate a bioregion. After that, we came together through an unconference, through session building, and then really built this nonprofit program. We had about 140 people join us for this process of really thinking about it. And one of the things that emerged very quickly is that it wasn't just about landscape scale regeneration. People are there doing the work, but they're isolated, they're siloed, and they're not being supported. So how can we bring people together? How can we visualize their work? And then most importantly, how can we see them resourced and supported to do the work that they're doing? And so within this, we kind of define two different programs that we're building. One is based around the landscapes and getting the grassroots people to come together, visualize and support their work, really creating regeneration strategies, creating budgets, creating visions for their landscapes. And that's our Cascadia Bioregen program. The other program that we identified is very important, which didn't even exist as a term 2 years ago, was this idea of BioFi, and that's bioregional finance. And so that's really around the idea of creating a Cascadia Regeneration Fund. It's really about creating funding, local funding ecosystems that can move money and flow money on the scale of landscapes, ecosystems, and watersheds. Really around the idea that even if $100 million entered into each landscape tomorrow, are we prepared to receive that funding? Do we have the governance tools in place? Do we have portfolios of projects and know how we would direct those flows of funding? And the answer, by and large, is no, we don't. So that took us to this year. Every year, May 18th, we celebrate our Cascadia Day in honor of Mount St. Helens. But we had our first Cascadia BioFi conference here in Seattle. We had more than 300 people attend over a weekend of workshops. Sid Harvey, Stephen Gomes, Reiki, and others. Very delighted to have be present, give presentations, give talks about the work that people were doing, and then really going in for everything from Web3 to different technologies and tools for how we are growing and building this resource and support, and then how are we coming together to flow it into the landscape. And so that was a really successful event. The first conference on bioregional finance, and very excited to partner with Samantha Powers and Tyler Wakefield to help put that on in the BioFi project. Now we've really evolved that, and our big focus starting in September and November has been the shift to the Landscape Hub Cultivator. This has been done in support with the seeds community, with Kinship Earth. We've distributed, or in the process of distributing, over $100,000 to 10 different landscape groups. Each different landscape group is comprised of 3 to 7 different landscape stewards, each of who helps build and represent a coalition of place-based and landscapes organizations, communities, with the idea that every different person in place knows these trusted networks. And so more than just money, more than just an organization, we're really building the relational aspect, that this has to be based in trust, and that people in place know the people who are doing the work, who need to be supported, who need to be resourced, and really focusing on building that interstitial connection and network. So the idea of the bioregion is we support and we want fully funded and supported bioregional regeneration teams in each landscape. And then the BioFi is the regeneration fund that flows the money to these groups to be re-granted out to portfolios of different landscape projects in their communities. So we've started with 10 landscape groups. We're up to 40 landscape stewards. And what's really exciting is that this all holds a community of about 600 members on our website. We've launched a new Mighty Network, Regenerate Cascadia Mighty Network for our internal organizing. And then this represents a coalition of probably 150 to 200 different groups and organizations throughout the Cascadia bioregion. Keeping in mind that we are actually a little bit more narrowly focused, really heavily concentrated more in the Salish Sea, down to the Willamette Valley and the Columbia River. And this is a process that's going to be going on for a year where we're really building in the foundational supports that we think are relevant for funding to be able to flow effectively at the scale of a landscape, ecoregion, and bioregion. This includes bioregional mapping. It includes developing regeneration strategies that include looking at a 7-generation vision, both into the future and in recognition of the past. And then actually developing budgets, and then also important community-based, context-based indicators, MRV, with the idea that just as we need to be creating our own maps, we need to be identifying our own criteria for success of what success looks like. We cannot rely on companies or governments outside of our communities to be doing that for us. So that'll be a process that's going on all year. And we've just started this. We have weekly classrooms, content delivery sessions, community calls, office hours, all building towards this end of phase 1. We're going to have a landscape showcase event where our 10 landscapes are actually going to talk and present about their portfolios, why they've developed their bioregional boundaries. February 5th and 6th, I'll send an email out. You'll all be welcome and invited to that. And then the only other thing I really just want to touch on is through the Department of Bioregion, we're very excited to be we're the fiscal sponsor for the Turtle Island Bioregional Congress, which is the first effort at a bioregional congress since 2009. This is a process that has been growing, really, that helped launch the bioregional movement in the 1970s, 1980s. Cascadia itself came out of a series of bioregional congresses starting in 1986 at the Evergreen State College, 1987, 1988. Both mixing between different bioregions as well as these continental bioregional congresses. And so what's really exciting is that there's kind of a new wave of people who have stepped on to be part of the organizing team. And then Stephen Gomes and many others have joined this incredible growing advisory council. And what you'll notice is that this is a really powerful opportunity to bridge a lot of indigenous sovereignty, food sovereignty, movements with the bioregional movement, really with the idea of both healing the past, but coming together to actually create a movement that can weave these conversations together more effectively. And with that, I think I'll stop there. So yeah, but thank you for having me, and it's exciting to be here.
Well, thank you so much, Brandon. And as you mentioned, the event is going to be September 17th through 20th, 2026 at Port Townsend at Fort Worden. That is, we estimate, going to have about 500 attendees. If you're at all interested in where the bioregional movement is going in the world, please make sure that you have that open on your calendar, because that's going to be a major event. We're having a hard time actually holding it to 500 people. And we plan to bring in a lot of indigenous involvement in that event as well. Moving on now to someone that I call the Dutch Peace Corps volunteer at the grassroots level, is Iris Nickerman. She is living and working at the grassroots bioregional level in her project in Mexico. And let me tell you, from being in the Peace Corps, when I met her in Guatemala and listened to her work, it reminded me so much of the time when I was in the Peace Corps. That work is very, very difficult and challenging work to do at the grassroots level. It's where the rubber meets the road, as they say. We're talking about it at the high level, but it was very interesting to hear her perspective being on the ground, actually doing this stuff day to day, living it. When you live day to day, it takes on a whole new perspective. It takes a lot of guts, courage, resolve, dedication, and a lot of psychological strength to do it. So anyway, I want to welcome Iris Nickerman. Thank you for joining us today, and we're looking forward to hearing what you're doing there at your bioregional level, at the local level.
Thank you, Stephen. And wow, that's an introduction to come into. Thank you for that one too. What an incredible meeting! What an incredible people around here. Some of you I know, some of you I don't, but I'm very happy. But what I wanted to share with you today is I'm down in the Osa Peninsula, Costa Rica. And the Osa Peninsula in Costa Rica is home to 2.5% of the world's biodiversity on just 1/10,000th or something on this landmass, as far as science can prove that and say that. What we have been focusing on over the last couple of years, before I already before I came in, there was a whole movement going here. There has been a whole movement that has been going on here to keep social cohesion, to promote the health of the soils, the health of the social soil, and through creating more social soil, ultimately, improving our ecological well-being as a whole. The pitch that I always give about the work that I'm doing is connected to the image you find in the chat, which is a community hub made up of almost all the types of communities that live in the Osa Peninsula, Costa Rica. We've been promoting more regenerative social, ecological, and economic alternatives to the current trends that we face, such as gentrification, loss of farmland, land degradation, cultural erosion, etc. We have been doing for more than the last 5 years. I wasn't the founder of this, so I can't speak for what it was before, but I can talk to what we've been doing over the last 4 years. So far, we've impacted thousands of lives with our projects that focus on keeping the local food systems alive, supporting local families in need, being a learning center focused on skills, creative expression, intergenerational transmission of the place-based and indigenous wisdom, complemented with modern-day practices and technologies like community currencies, and at last, promoting social cohesion that serves the health of the soils and water through creating collaboration and conflict resolution. Where we are right now is directly connected to the image that we sent. We're creating common grounds for a resilient Osa community. We're in the process of giving the ownership of this hub, Los Higuerones, which is an actual space, old school building, and we're giving it back to the land. And with this, we want to demonstrate how we can create common spaces where all residents and visitors of places feel welcome and invited to contribute to a more beautiful place. And in our case, that's the Osa Peninsula. Then I was very happy to see Danny Bell in this meeting too, my bioregional fella. Los Higuerones is part of a bioregional project, and we serve as the hub for the bioregional financing facility that is now surfacing, that we've been working on for the last 5 years in bringing together from the ground up. And that bioregional financing facility focuses on flowing funds, in terms of flow funds, into the grassroots projects, people, and processes that have been and are vital for the preservation and regeneration of this precious bioregion. So I think with that, that's a general pitch, but I just want to take you into a little moment of what it might feel like to connect to your place. And with that, I'd like to invite you to close your eyes and feel your butt on the chair and just listen to any natural sound or any sound that is surrounding you without focusing on what it does to you. Don't go into, oh, what emotion brings this up? Don't go into the thoughts. As we are in this space, I would like to invite you to connect to that deeper feeling of what it is that you could contribute today to making your place a little bit better. And this intention, this thing that comes up for you is maybe an intention that you can do every single day, an intention setting you can do every single day. Because that's what it really means to be in the grassroots. That's what it really means, like we just heard from Cascadia. It's what it really means to focus on a bioregional level and sense, use our sentence to feel into what is needed to actually be able to act to that. So as a bioregional project, we are looking for technologies that support this type of work that we're doing. We are not like looking to seek out into the universe to like pitch at multiple stages about everything, because that only takes us away from actually being able to sense, sit on our chair and feel into what is needed and then act upon that. So within the Seeds 3.0, I'm connected to this because I really believe like that the OSWAP system could be really beneficial. And at the same time, I'm also very cautious around these technologies that ask millions and millions of dollars for them actually to flow the resources into these regions, into these people that are really doing this muddy work. Because it's like Stephen says, it's hard. It asks us to continuously sense, be in like an equanimity space in order to respond to a need that I might have a judgment about, but that person actually really needs, which is in many cases here, basic sustenance. So within everything that we're developing, within the SEMO, within all the HIFA, within everything, it's like, how do we build these technologies in such a way that they actually serve those people that are still looking for being, like met in their basic sustenance? That, like I talked with Douglas about it, that can use their phone to just change from crypto to money and from crypto to crypto without necessarily having to get into like 1,000 different systems, because that's what these people have. It's the water, their subsistence farm, and a phone. But these people hold the wisdom that we modern day people are looking for in these type of devices. So with whatever we do, if we can, within these technologies or just within our own lives, come back to this moment of like, hey, what is it that I can do in a physical way to make someone else's life, whether it's a plant, an animal, or a person, just a little bit better? And then if we all start doing that, it's this six degree of separation, like the 6 degrees of separation, right? Like we can all weave this tapestry around the world. And that's where planetary parties come in. And that's where all these beautiful other ideas of flow funding and land-based community trusts and community-based agriculture and everything, those are the technologies too. And we shouldn't forget about that. Because that's actually the technologies that we need to really eat and drink all day long. So thank you, Stephen, for having me. I hope I didn't trigger anyone, and maybe I did. I'm not sorry, but I invite you to sit with it and enjoy the ride.
Beautiful.
Welcome to
Beautiful presentation. I knew you would give people a sense of the real reality of living at the subsistence level. And I really am proud of you that you're willing to live in a 800 square foot place and do that hard work that has to be done. So thank you for being here today and sharing your vision and your beauty and your love with us. So now we're moving on we're taking a little bit of a fun break here. We've listened to a lot of talking people. Now I want to introduce you to a friend of mine who is a polymath, author, actor, artist, raconteur, and he's also got a new book that is called Gaia's Game. It's a children's book. It's a unique children's book, the like of which no one's really seen before. And he's got an interesting little video We're going to play the video first and then introduce Aaron to everybody here today. Aaron Abelman is an incredibly entertaining human being, but let's play that video first, Basil. It's the one that starts with the world. There you go.
Welcome, Seekers, welcome to Gaia's game. It's the only game where the ball is the mind, the field is fractal, and the goal is awakening. And also, you don't need to know what any of that means. This isn't just a ball, it's a sphere of becoming. 32 panels, like the 32 teeth in your human mouth. Coincidence? I think not. Fibonacci is watching, but hey, don't get lost in the math. This isn't calculus, it's cosmic kickball. Right here. This is what I wanted to share with you. Boy could actually ask. They say to master the universe, master yourself. But if the universe is a game with no master, it might as well be Orion's belt. Kids get it, adults forget, but this book, it's a reminder. Let's get it today.
Okay, so as you see, that book is now selling on Amazon. It's the #1 bestseller. If you have children you want to reach with a combination of metaphysics for children and fun, there's the book to get. And I wanted to now introduce you to Aaron. Go ahead, Aaron.
Peace and blessings, everyone. Happy solstice. My daughter woke me up this morning at sunrise and said, "Dad, let's meditate." And I got so excited that I went to join her, and she said, "That was just a game to get you to come and play with me." And so I wanted to share that with you all. Thank you so much for that, Yoram, your beautiful meditation and all the extraordinary constellation of work that's represented here today. I am really humbled to be here, Stephen. I absolutely am blown away by the synergies, the extraordinary collaborative global movement that is Seeds. So once again, my name is Aaron. I'm a United Nations award-winning artist. I'm a storyteller, ecologist, amateur mycologist. And if I may add, I'm a professional goofball. You know, one of the things about being someone that is passionate about intersections and interdependence and the holistic qualities of life is that I think we see how synergies come together, and my journey is really deeply rooted in a story, a mythological narrative, you could say, of interdependence, of connection. I began actually growing up on an urban farm, actually an urban agricultural center, where I learned that ecology isn't just about plants and animals, it's actually the root of economy itself. And the word economy, this educated group may know, comes from the Greek word oikos, I think is how you say it, which means house or ecology. So it's not just a linguistic or biological notion that reminds us that the root of things is culture. It's our dominant mirror for consciousness, and it's deeply entwined with land and how we care for it. There's a reason why we call it agriculture or permaculture. So I've always seen cultural change precipitating systems change, because culture most honestly reflects the consciousness that we carry. So bringing culture back into harmony with a story of interdependence is really about reconnecting humanity to life, right? It's the foundational truth. We are living a story of separation. And so now we're moving toward a story of connection, of solidarity, of compassion, of kindness, of the original instructions that all indigenous peoples have imparted, all of us being students of that. But over the years, I've really had the privilege of working with just hundreds of NGOs and global campaigns, weaving stories that and songs and really innovative, creative marketing to inspire action and healing. I've published 4 books, released 7 albums, and had projects on every major media platform. But really beyond the accolades, what drives me is supporting this kind of global creative engine behind systemic solutions, because we need to partner with artists as ambassadors for the depth and breadth of what was presented today. My focus has been a lot around the UN SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, but also the integrated development goal, or the interdevelopment goals, the IDGs. So again, the truth is we can't bring systemic solutions to scale without a fundamental shift in our global stories. We can't. Our narratives shape what's possible, what we value, how we act. And that's ultimately why I created something like Gaia's Game. And I want to give a special shout out to somebody who's here with us today. Eliza Harold has been basically, this project would not have happened without Eliza, both as a creative collaborator and also somebody that really stepped up financially to actually see this as the Trojan horse of transformation, disguised as a playful, hopeful story that it really is. And it's been so exciting. You know, it's a best-selling book. It's in now almost 60 countries, Farsi, Swahili. We're trying to get to Spanish. I'll mention a little bit more, but it's really a movement inviting young people and the youth at heart to step into a world where nature, collaboration, and gamification really collide, if you could say it that way. So it's rekindling our relationship with Earth. It's a story about 4 orphan children who on their 10th birthday, they're from 4 corners of the world in conflict zones. And on their 10th birthday, they receive a mysterious gift from Gaia, from Mother Earth. And it calls them on this journey to become change makers, to join a global Earth school, a mystery school where they're sort of decoding ancient wisdom to help heal the world. So it gets better because the next wave of what we're doing, and why I'm here just blabbing at you, is that we are working to launch the first season of the Gaia's Game cartoon, which is essentially an adaptation of the book. The book, by the way, was co-authored, I should mention, with Robert Edward Grant, who's a renowned polymath and mathematician. We're also, alongside this, we're introducing the world's first sustainable soccer ball, what we're calling a sustainaball. And it's made entirely from mushroom plastic. So it's biodegradable, regenerative, and we're going to launch it in time for the World Cup, which comes in the middle of next year. The goal is that after the ball breaks down, instead of going to the landfill, it actually inoculates and restores and biodegrades and restores soil biodiversity. I'm a huge soil advocate. I worked with Sadhguru at the beginning of Save Soil, helped connect the Vatican to Save Soil because the Vatican owns more land than any other entity on earth. So to bring this vision to life, what we really need is, seeds. We need this kind of community to get behind this scale of storytelling. We're really, right now, we're looking at $350,000 to produce the first season of the Gaia's Game cartoon, which will be delivered to a massive edutainment distribution network, reaching 15 million students, to manufacture and distribute the sustainaball, and to revolutionize sustainable sports, and also just really to expand the reach of Gaia's Game through translations, educational curriculum, community engagement, to develop a possible video game eventually as well. So your partnership is really how these things happen. It always takes a village to raise a child, but it's really going to take the whole planetary village to get behind the next generation. So yes, before I close, just do I have 20 seconds, Peter?
Yeah, you do.
Stephen, sorry.
You do, yeah.
Yes, okay. So I just wanted to share one little moment from the prologue. Some say that this story is created by a master gamer who could be all of us or none. Although it has no real beginning, it might as well start today at a school playground, a mystery school teeming with tag you're it, rhyming tales and lost treasures found where kids play by rules made to be broken and put back together again. It is said that the school wasn't always a school. They say that a long time ago it was actually a starlit village of families whose homes were full of love, warmth, and games to help solve for the fights between siblings during or after snack time. And even before the families, it was the site for a pyramid that washed to ruins. No one is sure. But even older than the starlit village or the pyramids is just an ancient old field, a wild field full of grass, wildflowers, and butterflies, a quantum field in balance at the edge of the earth and the galaxy. They say that the field is far beyond the human realm and connected to many other sacred sites across the universe, including the beat of the winged ones, the whisper of the crawling and slithering, the connections of the rooted, the joy of the high jumpers, and everything in between. Does this field still exist? Whatever the case may be, it is here where our story picks up, at a school for those who love the question as much as the answer, for those who love wisdom even when the world forgets, a place for those who love to play, not just to win, but to sweat, to strive, and to be together in any weather, and even to lose sometimes. Here is where they play to live and live to play. And it's also here where 4 focused students are creating a new game about themselves and the mysteries of a life they're forever discovering. Let's see where this game adventure takes us, shall we?
Yes, we shall, Aaron. And thank you so much for being here today. And also, I wanted to let everybody know Aaron is very involved with the Turtle Island Bioregional Conference next year in September. And he'll probably be there more than likely. And if any of you want to meet him in person, that would be the place to go. And we'll keep you posted in all our communications. Keep him in our mind, and we'll always be discussing through the Seeds channels what's going on with Aaron. So, and then I've saved best for last, and so to speak. So Ron Ammett is our last speaker today. Ron has a very unique point of view. He's discussing the awakening, and he says, across the earth, a new field of coherence is arising. We're all part of that new field of coherence. You can feel that coherence in your body, in your soul, in your heart. You can feel it. It is a loose, widely dispersed, yet coherent network of people, philanthropists, social entrepreneurs, artists, eco-villages, intentional communities, ecologies, and sanctuaries, all with a similar vision of bringing about a new earth economic and regenerative renaissance. This awakening is not a movement we create, it is a field. It is a field that we're all part of, that we feel in our hearts and our souls. And this is what he's going to be talking about. It's an innermost being that we join. So you'll hear him talk about this unstoppable calling, this rising out of the depth of the universal life energy, bursting forth spontaneously within millions of souls around the world. And as more souls open, more minds clear, and more souls seek to walk in truth and authenticity, a quiet, powerful, and relentless alignment is emerging within the depths of the human spirit. Ron will speak to us about the new earth ascension. Thank you, Ron.
Well, thank you so much for this introduction. Beautiful. I must say that I'm so excited to see all the faces that are here because some of you I met in person, and some of you I just know that we are from the same team that's working so many hours every day to just do the same things and kind of already decentralized our efforts and then just kind of remembering decentralized network to help us work in coherence together. When Stephen approached me, he told me, talk about the ascension. I'm like, okay, what's going to talk about the ascension? And I walked back home and the information came, talk about the God seed, because you all, there's like, it's about the seed. And I think I want to share information about, okay, I'll start with this. I'm working through hypnotherapy. I actually started as a dancer, but went into a field of hypnotherapy. And through the hypnotherapy, I put people into a deep trance where they start to receive information from their higher self. And we reached the unity source of information that also the collective, the design earth, and started to receive a lot of information, I think, to bring harmony between I guess the native and the wisdom of the earth, the galactic wisdom, and also the just Christ consciousness, the unconditional love, and the many teachers that came through time and space to share with us knowledge. And I think it's just important to bring this. Also, I heard you sharing that the Vatican, or like they have so much land, and like that's land is being stewed for us at some point to be regenerative, and that transition need to be also be done in coherence. So okay, I'm going to share the information that started to come from the book about the God seed as geometry that bring clarity and balance between the geometry, the sound, and let's say Fibonacci, and what's also parallel to it, another geometry that help us evolve faster and more coherently with the rest of, I guess, the universe. I'll share my screen from my book, the book called The Songs of Remembering. Let's do this for a moment. You can see the book. Let's go to the just front for the beginning to show you the cover. I'll talk about this because of the symbol. The symbol is the harmonic. Here, I'm going to go over here. Let's do this one. Just the harmonic series about sound. If you know the harmonic series, it means like the frequencies that have a geometry of, let's say, 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And now we're going to go to another geometry of that is just the note C. The note C is about ratio, the doubling up in the frequency. Let's say you can see 16, 32, 64. This is a very similar to another ratio that's called the crystal spiral. The crystal spiral is a ratio of 1 to is doubling up. So the note C and the ratio is kind of having the same equation. As you see Fibonacci here. And there's like, and we're going to take into what does that mean to actually have that ratio. If we're taking the Fibonacci, you're all familiar with the seed of life, and continue to the flower of life. Let's see, where is it? The flower of life. I guess it's in here, the flower of life. If we're taking the ratio of 1 to the doubling up, we have this seed. It's a little bit different, but it's, let's say it's doubling up in the ratio. If you're just taking it a little bit more, this is with 5 circles, this is with 9 circles, and we'll take it all the way to the flower. The flower is looking like that. I'm going to connect it to one more thing. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit heady and a little bit in the geometry. I hope you can follow up. I'm going to take you to the universal tree of life. If you're familiar with the universe, like there's the tree of life with the 10 Sefirot and 11 is the, it's called Dat in Hebrew. And there's the universal tree of life that has actually 12. Sefirot is having a symmetry. And then just a short story. There was one more morning that I woke up with like an auditory message telling me that there's another Sephira. The Sephira is the 13th one, the name in Hebrew called Chofesh, and it's basically behind that. So I'm like, I'm not sure how it's connected to the tree of life because I only knew about 11, but apparently there's the 13th one. So when I introduced to this universal tree of life, and sorry, I'm going to take it now to this one. So basically that's the same grid, the crystal spiral, let's say like a diamond shape. Now we have two spirals of the Fibonacci and the crystal. Basically, this is again, I remind you that it's a sound frequency as well. So the Fibonacci will start big and then will slowly go smaller and always try to reach to pi. Basically, pi is symbolizing for us the infinite in unity, like the pi is the one, but the infinite is the pi reaching to the endless, right? So we have kind of the understanding of how infinite and one can be a thing. The crystal spiral would start smaller, but very quickly would go bigger into the infinite. If we're just going to the ratio, we're going into infinitely outward into, infinitely outward, but you can also go infinitely inward. It can go to -2, -4, -8, -16. So we have a center point that you can go both directions. With Fibonacci, you see the 1, 1. It's kind of, you have an entry point and then you continue one direction and then you try to reach as long as you can to reach pi. Never really reaching, but always expanding a little bit. Now, the meeting point is what I find really important. And I think what can be the truly lesson to implement into our relational and how to bring coherence into ourselves internally and also to our communities and systems. I guess there's going to be more topics that I won't be able to share too much in just those little introduction, but I want to have that as just share some of this knowledge first. Okay, I'm going to talk about this meeting point because the meeting point, what's beautiful about it, let's bring it to the ratio first. The ratio, if you can see here, we have 1, 2, 4, 8. Also here, the 8 is the meeting point. Let's go to see what is the 8. The 8 is also the note C. The C in octave, let's go to the harmonic series. It's the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do. So we have do as a beginning and closing of an octave, but it's the same sound in a different octave, beginning and closing. So we have a meeting point between two octaves of frequency. And some of you are probably familiar with the idea that the ascension of the earth is changing an octave of experiences. And then I was like, okay, what is this meeting point? What does it mean in the geometry? First of all, to explain the geometry, the God seed or the flower, I call it the flower of immortality. I know the names it's not important, but is what kind of, okay, let's take the flower of life. We're taking the 13 in the middle. We're taking the flower of immortality. We're putting all of them in the center to all direction. The 13 become the center. Just to explain that idea of the 13 center, it's supposed to be like a gateway for us to move to another way of being. And then I wanted to share with you about the we talked about the octave. One moment. Okay, yeah. The geometry of the flower of immortality, it's all three-dimensional eventually. It's not really just, I want to try to show the three-dimensional aspect of it. If we're taking it to three-dimensional, if we're looking at it from one angle, one precise angle, the flower of life, the way it is one angle from the flower of immortality in a three-dimensional aspect. So if you take the three-dimensional of the flower of life and take the three-dimensional of the flower of immortality, you look at it from one angle, it would look exactly the same. So that's the meeting point in the geometry of what we see. So now we're taking it into reality. Now we're looking at each other, we are here, and we can think about it as a choice point. In this moment, we have a choice how we meet reality, okay? We can meet reality from the perspective of, I don't know, maybe we look at this and we feel the frustration of things doesn't work out and it's kind of lowering our frequency a little bit and we're like focusing on the negative of like why things are not working out in all this chaos and all the suffering of the world. And then we, in a way, maintaining some level of frequency of it. And now we can take the same reality and we can look at it from the frequencies of the perfection that it is, and also just looking for another angle of it, okay? From this angle, we can see maybe a bigger purpose, a bigger reason of why things are operating in the way that it is, trusting the perfection of it, and kind of receiving a new perspective of this certain moment. And while receiving this new perspective, we also tune into a new resonance of how that now we can look from perspective that bring us joy, that bring us clarity, brings another perspective of that make reason for all of this. And when we have this, we now amplified our frequency. We're changing in the same moment the frequency that we operate from operating into a lower, maybe the place where we continue the same lessons, coming up with the same, with like another test, another initiation, another circle of where we operate before in order to get to this new perspective, right? So when we get that lesson, when we get this new perspective, when we integrate the lesson, we start to be ready for new opportunities, for new collaboration, for new lessons, and to just spiral up a little bit faster, a little bit bigger, operating from another inner energetic coherence field. So basically, it's about finding inner peace with life as is and trusting the process as we coming together to create it. And I think it's very important for us because as I listen to many of the things that I'm seeing, and it's so beautiful and so inspiring, and so much work being done into all of this lands, all of this project, all of the systems, the technology, and brilliant minds that put it together. There would come times when we come together and we're just going to harvest the brilliant database from this and the tools from this, and then we're creating a new system because we're going to operate from a new knowledge and a new capacity that we haven't yet had. And now it's going to be put together and we're going to need to be okay with like letting go, enjoy the hard work that we did in order to put something that actually going to work for everybody together, or like the moments that like we all like every bioregion try to focus on their bioregion, and it's great, and eventually that will have to work for everybody. But the truth is that it's fractalizing from the relationship, from the coherence that we have within us, and then between the groups that we're starting to operate, and then that coherence continue to the land project, to the bioregion, and then also to the full planetary system.
Ron, I have two questions. One
yes.
is, can you give us your concluding remarks, and also tell us how to get your book, The Songs of Remembering?
Okay. So the Book of Remembering, I'll stop going to share this one. I'll share something else. How do I do that? I'm just going to stop this and share something else. I'll share there's the New Earth Ascension is the associations of organization that I'm collaborating with to create what I call the Golden Zone Network. Here you can find also the book in the resources. The book is here. But the Golden Zone Network and Oneness Alliance is the things that I think is important also to know. Is here it's also, you see the God Seed, it's part of the same idea of creating sovereignties through what I created in the US is a spiritual nonprofit organization, 508c1a, meaning it's separating the state from, like, there's acknowledgement of separation between the state and the religious organization. It's give protections and tax benefits and all those kind of things. It's also allow us to create private membership association that's basically keep everything in the private domain. And I believe that all the new systems that are coming online needing to be within that private domain. So, and each person basically can create their own sovereign entity to communicate with the rest of the global movement of sovereignty. So you can operate within your sovereign capacity as a sovereign entity that can exchange within the bigger network. Sorry, now I want to go to the golden zone idea. And again, I'm just putting language on the thing that everybody's working here. So I'm not, so there's kind of 13 principles about regenerative communities and the network. And basically in those 13 pillars, it's about kind of transforming blue zones into golden zones, meaning like from the regenerative of the food and all those things to create longevity and happy living. If you're familiar with the blue zones concept, we're also adding the purifying of the water and all the elements. We're adding the sustainability of the energy culture. We talked about the culture here. I think it's very important that within the community, there's going to be the culture, the spirituality, the spirit, and basically there's also another pilot project that is about creating like a performance as a show, and also cinema about creating a pilot version of our incubators, basically, of creating the systems, showing protopia of communities that are already living, and also creating the storyline so we can present it to the world as something that exists, and convince them to move over to a very simple system that we'll talk about it later, about the economy stuff, because it has to be simple. And like, as I said, they have a phone, they just have to have like something very simple to have the exchange between the old currency to a new way of doing it. And that's what I'll talk later with the people that's working on that. And it's a peaceful community, of course. There's a sovereignty aspect about the story. The sovereignty, the 508, that, you know, it's a term in the US, but the idea is basically just the stewarding of the land, that the organization that is part of the PMA and the land is the beneficiaries are the members of that PMA, basically creating a sovereign collective that share the shares of the land, basically, and basically creating a model of maybe more timeshare between communities that are participating in this, to share the knowledge, to find the resources of who are the people that need to go to which community in order to create the next avenue of that regenerative project. For if they need the more food, or maybe they need the energy, or maybe they need the water, like how do we discover which community need what and which team going to go to where? And okay, we talk about all those different things, sharing the resources, also education, because one where you're going to start as a dancer and you move to hypnotherapist and you're going to move to, anyway, we're discovering new talents and gifts, and it's important to continue evolve and receive the next iteration of each human. Okay, and I think that's basically, you can explore those 13 principles later on as well. Just get inspired. It's not something that it's just a framework that anyone can just get inspired if they want for their community.
Thank you, Ron. I did put your two websites in the chat, and everybody should click on the three dots on your chat to save the whole chat and all the great information that's in there. I do want to say that some scientists and others say that the language of the universe is the language of mathematics and sacred geometry. Here's Metatron's. This is a very well known, and so is this as well. For those of you who haven't seen that before. Anyway, my way of looking at it is the language of the universe is love. And that's what we're all sharing here today. I really appreciate each and every one of you expressing the love in your hearts and the way you will as you make your own individual soul's journey throughout the world. You are expressing that love in ways that you can with the light you have. And I applaud each and every one of you for doing that. And it's what our purpose is. That's why we're here. Each one of us is an expression of that divine spark, and we are expressing that light the best way we know how, and we're having the courage to share it with each other and with the world, and that's what is your purpose. So thank you all for doing that. And now we're just going to have a very brief moment of goodbye. I will follow this up with more communication with everyone. We will have a recording of this whole entire session in case anybody missed it or wants it. I will be sending out that recording on YouTube, the link to it to everybody here that participated. So again, thank you all for being here and have a wonderful solstice. May love and family fun and family connection and relationships reward and new relationships come in. So anyway,
Love y'all.
I
Thank you
invite
so
you.
much.
I invite you to come in, Yoram, and give us the last minute or so before we depart.
Well, I think a lot was said here, and perhaps Aaron said before, it takes a village to raise a child, but it also, I would say, it takes the authenticity of the heart of a child to raise the consciousness of a village. And a lot of it was shared today, authentic, heartfelt intentions of individuals all around the world, perhaps decentralized, but connected, as Ron said, in a thread of love, in a thread of consciousness. And never undermine the power of your intention. Never undermine the field that is the field of infinite possibilities before manifesting, that when you lean into it and draw these higher resources, your intention is more than possible. It is urgently essential in this world, on this planet, right time, at this time of transformation. So trust your love, trust your nature, trust who you are, be the best version of who you are, live for your purpose, live for your vision. It is not limited. It originates from the field of infinite possibilities. It is actually the stream of those possibilities through your freedom of choice. Yes, Ron, realm number 13, the freedom of choice in which our free will is aligned with the higher will of the infinite field of possibilities. And everything will manifest differently than what we plan, but in essence, our intention will reign. So all the best. Happy New Year for new beginnings that are both new, fresh, and unstoppable.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your evening and rest of your day and rest of your year. And thank you, Basil, for making this possible.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for having
Bye-bye.
us.
Thank you,
Thank you so
everyone.
much.